If you're currently receiving Social Security or SSI, I need you to pause everything else for the next few minutes and stick with me because a rule is going into effect in July 2026 that changes who is allowed to look into your bank accounts, how frequently they can check, and what happens to your monthly payment if they discover something you didn't disclose. This isn't a proposal sitting on someone's desk. It isn't a topic being argued over in some committee meeting. It's a documented policy change already moving through the Social Security system as we speak. And most seniors I talk to have either never heard about it at all, or they've caught a frightening headline without actually grasping what it means for their own deposits. I'm not describing something that could possibly happen down the road. I'm describing a real shift in how your benefits get confirmed starting this summer, and the exact details you need to know before it reaches your account. For more than 10 years, I've studied retirement benefits, senior tax programs, and the financial regulations that impact older Americans year after year. And the pattern I run into most often is decent, hard-working people getting caught off guard by a policy shift that nobody ever bothered to explain to them in plain language. That's precisely what I intend to do for you right now. Before we dive in, let me ask you something straight up. Have you subscribed to this channel yet? If you haven't, tap that subscribe button now and switch on the notification bell. Here's why that matters to you specifically. Social Security rules, Medicare rules, and the verification processes tied to your benefits shift constantly. And when they do, nobody mails you a letter spelling out what it means for you or what action you need to take. This channel breaks down every single change in everyday language the moment it happens. If you skip subscribing, the next update that hits your monthly payment could slip right past you without you ever knowing it existed. Subscribe now and let's work through this together. Here's what we're covering today. First, what this new bank access rule really is, explained plainly without the bureaucratic jargon that makes it sound more alarming or confusing than necessary. Second, who it applies to at this moment, including the particular group of seniors who assume they're in the clear but actually aren't. Third, precisely what the system searches for inside your accounts, including accounts you may have forgotten you even owned. And last, the scam already attaching itself to this rule, targeting seniors who just learned about it, along with the concrete steps to protect yourself and remain compliant. Stick with me through the whole thing, because the part most people misunderstand comes near the end. And it's the part that actually safeguards your payment. Let's begin with what this rule involves and why it exists. The system driving this is called AFI, short for Access to Financial Institutions. Put simply, AFI is the electronic tool the Social Security Administration uses to connect with financial institutions and confirm what's actually sitting in your accounts. It's been around for years. What's shifting in 2026 is how often the agency is required to use it and how few obstacles remain in its way. For a long stretch, there was a threshold in place. The SSA would only launch a full bank check when your declared resources exceeded a certain dollar figure. If you claimed you had very little, they frequently didn't dig any further. That threshold worked like a speed bump, limiting how often the agency dipped into your accounts. Under the incoming change, that speed bump is disappearing for a much larger portion of recipients. The agency is now instructed to run financial institution checks on virtually all new SSI claim approvals, no matter what amount you report having, and to do so more often over the entire duration of your claim. I want to be clear about why this shift is happening, because the reasoning matters. The SSA's core mission is delivering the correct amount to the correct person at the correct time. SSI specifically is a needs-based program built for people with very limited income and resources, and it comes with a strict resource cap. For a single individual, that cap has stood at $2,000 in countable resources for a long time. Cross it, and your eligibility takes a hit. The agency's stance is that improper payments, money sent to people who exceeded that limit, rank among the biggest issues plaguing the program. So, the reasoning follows a simple line. If accounts get checked more often and more thoroughly, problems surface earlier before a large overpayment piles up that the agency later has to claw back from you. That's the legitimate side of this, and I want you to hear it clearly. Because grasping the agency's rationale is exactly what helps you stay on the right side of the rule. An overpayment isn't free money. If the SSA sends you funds you weren't entitled to because you exceeded the resource cap, they will eventually catch it, and they will demand it back. More frequent checking is, in part, the agency's attempt to stop that problem before it snowballs into a bill with your name attached. Now here's the piece that trips people up, and I need you to really absorb this. Plenty of seniors hear SSII, bank access rule, and assume it doesn't apply to them. I'm on regular Social Security retirement, not SSI. Or, I'm on Social Security disability insurance. That's different. You're correct that this particular rule, as written today, targets the SSI program. But here's what matters about the direction things are heading. SSI is almost always the starting point for these kinds of verification changes. It's the needs-based program. So, checking resources is already baked into its design. The tools, the systems, the automated account access, they all get built and expanded inside SSI first. And the wider conversation happening in Washington, across both political sides, increasingly touches on the idea of means testing other benefits down the line. Means testing simply refers to adjusting what you receive based on how much money and how many assets you already hold. And here's the crucial point. You can't means test anything without first being able to see inside someone's accounts. The verification infrastructure being built and expanded for SSI right now is the same infrastructure that would eventually be needed to examine resources for any other benefit. So, even if this specific rule doesn't reach your retirement check today, understanding the machinery behind it matters because it shows you where everything is trending. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it so you're not blindsided later. Let me walk you through what the verification actually does once it's triggered, because this is where things get concrete. When the SSA runs AFI on you, it doesn't stop at the one account you disclosed. The system can perform up to 10 geographic searches tied to your information. It searches based on your address, and it can also pull in addresses and identifying details connected to your representative payee, if you have one. It flags the accounts you reported, and critically, it flags accounts you didn't report. And this is the part I really want you to take in, because it's not about anyone hiding something. It's about forgetting. A lot of seniors have an old account tucked away somewhere they haven't thought about in years. A savings account at a bank that got absorbed by another bank. A small credit union account opened decades back for a car loan, sitting untouched with a few $100s in it ever since. A certificate of deposit a relative set up on your behalf. You might genuinely have no memory these exist. The system doesn't care that you forgot. It locates them, and it counts them. So if you're on SSI and you've been operating under the assumption that your countable resources sit comfortably under the limit, an old forgotten account turning up in a scan could shift that math in a way you never anticipated. Here's the full rundown of what the system is designed to locate. It hunts for what's called liquid resources held at financial institutions, meaning checking accounts, savings accounts, money market accounts, certificates of deposit credit union share accounts, and special purpose deposit accounts like Christmas Club or Holiday Club accounts. Essentially, anywhere you can park money or hold a certificate at a bank or credit union, this verification is built to reach. It operates across all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the territories. The overwhelming majority of financial institutions, roughly 96%, participate in the automated system, meaning the agency can verify things electronically without you ever being pulled into that step. For the small remainder that don't participate, the agency falls back on a paper-based process. But the coverage is nearly nationwide, and the account scan isn't the only tool in play. A whole collection of systems works alongside it to piece together a full picture of your financial life. There are payroll information exchanges that can tell the agency what you're earning through an employer's payroll system, sometimes fast enough to adjust your very next payment. There are systems pulling from national new hire databases. There are wage verification tools built specifically for SSI. Each one exists to confirm a different slice of your income and resource picture. The goal here isn't memorizing acronyms. The goal is understanding that verification in 2026 is automated, layered, and far more thorough than the system many seniors remember from years back. Before I show you exactly how to protect yourself, I want to say something to you directly. Because the fact that you're still here right now tells me something. Most people see a title like this, click, feel a wave of worry, watch for a couple of minutes, and move on without ever learning what to actually do about it. You stayed. That tells me you take protecting what you depend on seriously, and you understand that knowing how a rule functions is what separates getting blindsided by it from staying ahead of it. So, if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Hit that button and switch on the bell, because the verification systems behind your benefits are exactly the kind of thing most seniors only learn about after a problem has already landed on their doorstep. You're here early. Stay subscribed so you remain that way. Now let me walk you through what this looks like in practice, using the kind of example the agency itself relies on internally, so you can see exactly how a verification unfolds. Picture someone applying for SSI who reports a small checking account holding about $20 and a $100 certificate of deposit. Their total declared resources sit around $120, well under any cap. Under the new approach, the agency still runs the bank check, even though the reported figure is tiny, because verification is now mandatory, regardless of the amount claimed. The scan comes back, confirms the checking account, turns up no hidden accounts, and the person's resources are validated right around what they stated. Since everything lines up and stays within the small tolerance the agency allows, the process moves forward without a hitch. No problem there. Now change one detail. Say that same scan comes back showing the checking account holds far more than what was reported, or it uncovers an additional account never mentioned. Now the agency has to dig further. It has to verify the value of that certificate of deposit, look more closely at the other balances, and the small tolerance that would have let them skip extra steps no longer applies because the verified total exceeds what was reported. And here's the thread running through the entire life of a claim. If your verified resources stay low and steady, you might face fewer repeat scans. But if a scan ever shows you sitting near or over the limit, expect to be checked again and again at multiple points, because the agency is specifically instructed to keep monitoring once the numbers hint at a resource problem. So, what does all this actually mean for you, and what should you do about it? This is the part most people skip past, and it's the part that protects your check. Let me lay it out as a clear set of actions. First, if you're on SSI, track down every account with your name attached to it, not just the one your payment lands in. Sit down this week and build a complete list. Your main checking account, any savings account, any old account at a bank that may have been renamed or bought out, any credit union account, even one opened decades ago and long forgotten, any certificate of deposit, any club or special purpose account. If you're unsure whether an old account is still active, call the institution and ask directly. The point is simple. You want to know everything a scan would uncover before the scan uncovers it, so there are no surprises pushing you unexpectedly near the resource limit. Second, understand your countable resources relative to the limit. For an individual on SSI, the long-standing countable resource cap is $2,000. Add together the liquid resources across all those accounts. If you're comfortably below that figure, you have far less to worry about from a verification. If you're anywhere close, this is the moment to get complete clarity on where you stand. Because being close is exactly when a forgotten account can tip you over without any warning. Third, if your circumstances have shifted, report it accurately rather than waiting to get caught. The agency is upfront about this. The systems are designed to catch unreported resources, and the safest position is always accurate. Timely reporting on your part. If you've come into money, even a modest sum, understand how it affects your eligibility and what you're required to report before the next verification cycle rolls around, not afterward. Fourth, and this is the protective core of everything, when the agency reaches out about verification or sends a redetermination notice, respond promptly and truthfully, and keep records of everything. The worst possible move with a benefits verification is to ignore it or guess your way through it. If you're uncertain how a particular account or asset affects your situation, that's exactly the kind of question to bring to a qualified professional who handles these matters. Because the answer depends entirely on the specifics of your circumstances, and I can't offer individualized advice through a screen. Now, I want to flag something important because whenever a new rule like this gets attention, a scam latches onto it within days, and this one is already in motion. Here's exactly how it works. A senior hears about a new Social Security bank access or verification rule through a video, an article, or a neighbor. Shortly after, they get a call or an email from someone claiming to be a Social Security verification specialist, a benefits compliance officer, or a federal account review service. The caller claims that because of the new 2026 rule, the senior's accounts need to be verified or pre-cleared, and that they can handle the process, protect the senior's benefits, or shield their accounts from the scam for a fee. Sometimes a few $100s, sometimes a cut of the ongoing benefit. Here's the single sentence that exposes this every time. There is no fee, no service, and no third party that can shield your accounts from official verification or handle this process on your behalf. The verification is conducted directly by the Social Security Administration. No authorized middleman exists who can opt you out of it, pre-clear you, or protect you from it for money. Anyone offering that is selling you a fabrication. And what they're often really after is your Social Security number, your bank account number, or a verification code, which is the actual point of the call. Write this rule down because it's your protection. The real Social Security Administration will not call you out of nowhere and ask you to confirm your Social Security number or bank account details over the phone to comply with a new rule. They already have your number. When they need to verify something, the legitimate process runs through your application, your redetermination paperwork, and official notices, not through a surprise inbound call demanding immediate action. If someone calls claiming they can handle this new bank access rule for you, hang up. Then, if you have questions about your own situation, go straight to the source yourself. Call the SSA at 1-800-772-1213, a number you look up yourself at ssa.gov, never one a caller gives you. And report the scam contact to the SSA fraud hotline at 1-800-269-0271, as well as to the FTC at ftc.gov. Those reports genuinely help investigators trace these operations and warn other seniors before they lose money. Let me pull everything together now, as simply as I can, because it all boils down to a short list of things you can actually do this week. Number 1. If you're on SSI, build a complete list of every financial account with your name on it, including old and forgotten ones, so you know exactly what a verification would uncover before it ever runs. Call institutions directly if you're unsure whether an account is still open. Number 2. Total up your liquid resources across all those accounts and figure out where you stand against the resource limit. If you're close, treat that as your cue to get clarity now, because a forgotten account is exactly what tips an otherwise fine case over the edge. Number 3, report changes accurately and respond promptly to any verification or redetermination notice. Accurate, timely reporting on your end is the best defense against an overpayment you'd later be asked to repay. When a question is specific to your finances, bring it to a qualified professional who can review your actual situation. Number 4, protect yourself from the scam. No one can shield your accounts from official verification for a fee. The agency will not cold call you demanding your Social Security number or bank details to comply with a new rule. If that call comes, hang up and verify directly through ssa.gov or a number you look up yourself. I want to close with something that matters. This rule is part of a broader shift toward more automated, more frequent, and more thorough verification of what seniors actually have. The systems keep getting better at looking, and that trend isn't reversing. None of this arrives with a friendly letter walking you through what it means for your check. The agency doesn't call to coach you through staying compliant. The system simply runs, and the people who stay protected aren't the ones with the simplest finances. They're the ones who understood how the verification works, knew what it would find, and got their own picture in order before it ran. You watched this entire video. You already understand this rule better than most seniors ever will. Now, take the next step this week. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you haven't already, because the verification systems behind your benefits keep evolving, and this channel covers every change in plain language before it lands on your doorstep. The next update could be the one that touches your specific situation, and you want to be here when it posts. And before you close this video, share it with one person in your life who's on SSI or Social Security. A parent, a sibling, a neighbor, someone from your church or your community. One share from you could be the thing that helps them get their accounts in order before a verification catches them off guard. The system isn't going to call them and walk them through any of this in plain English. You might be the only one who does. I'll see you in the next one.